Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, whatever time you're watching this video, you have greetings from me. So, just sit back and let's all learn. Okay, so I have here a caption. I am a scientist. So, whether we like it or not, we are scientists. We are all scientists by nature. So, even though when we were young, we are scientists already because I know all of us when we were young, even though when we were young or babies, we are curious of how do things happen, how do things work, how do things move, lahat, okay? So you and me, I am a scientist, you are a scientist. So I have here 4 images. So I want you to look at these images properly and say something about it, or based from your observations, what you can see, or how are you going to describe these images. All right, so these images have their own movements, or what we call motion. So what is motion? Motion is a movement or a change in location of an object over time. It is often described in terms of direction, location, and speed. So we cannot say that one object moves if it doesn't change location. Sometimes it does not change direction, but it changes in location. So why is it that there is speed? Because movement or motion takes place in a given time. I have an image here of a philosopher slash scientist. Maybe some of you are familiar already of this philosopher. Actually, he is famous philosopher. Would you mind to guess? Yes, he is Aristotle. So Aristotle is the famous student of Plato. Ye- So Aristotle have contributed a lot already, not only in the field of science, di ba? So you have some subjects, previous subjects that you encountered or you heard about Mr. Aristotle already. So now we're going to know more about Mr. Aristotle in terms of science. So in physics, he contains ideas on the nature of motion. But first, what is physics? So physics is one branch of science. This is a branch of science which deals with the natural phenomena. So what are these natural phenomena? They are the observable events. Okay, so since we are talking about motion earlier, let's deepen our knowledge about motion. So there are 2 types of motion. One is the natural motion and the second is the violent motion. So maybe you have some ideas already, or you are thinking about of something already based on the words itself. So natural motion, natural. 'Diba? Violent motion. When we heard about the word violent, there is something that is coming out to our mind, 'diba? So, let's find out. So, natural motion are known as well to be the vertical motion. So, when we say vertical, it is the movement, or it is vertical line. When we say a vertical line, it is from a line up to down or down to up, right? So natural motion, this is any motion an object does naturally without being forced. What are the motions that are naturally moving without being forced? Isip-isip. Like for example, mango, right? So it naturally falls down towards the ground without being forced when it is ripe already, diba? Well, it will fall down if someone would throw stone or hit it. Iba, that is not a natural motion already, because it is being forced to fail. So every object in the universe has a proper place, which is determined by its nature. So whether we like it or not, we have our own proper places in this universe, which is determined by nature. So we, human beings, we are always staying in the ground, diba? There's a saying that always put your foot on the ground. Yan. So, humans yon. So, we consider the four elements. So, the four elements are the earth, water, fire, and air as the proper places here in the universe. Of course, I told a while back that the direction of this natural motion is straight up or straight down. So celestial bodies, they have as well their natural motion, which is the circular motion. Nakakita na ba kayo ng celestial body na ang motion is vertical or horizontal? So when we say celestial bodies, what is celestial bodies? Celestial bodies are the bodies or the planets. For example, they are the celestial bodies. So ang motion ng planets natin is circular. So this were accepted for nearly 2,000 years. So examples of natural motions. Smoke naturally rises through the air. A book lying at rest on the table naturally remains at rest because there is no force. Pero syempre, if we are going to add a force to push the book, syempre gagalaw yung book. Number 3, if you let go of a stone, it naturally falls towards the earth. So number 2 is the violent motion or the horizontal motion. So when we say horizontal motion, siya yung kabaliktaran ni vertical motion natin. So if ang vertical motion natin is up to down, this one is from right to left or left to right. So violent motion is a result of a push or a pull. In this motion, we are adding force already. So this is the opposite of the natural motion. So I have one more image here. So siguro some of you already is familiar or you have seen this photo already before. So sa mga hindi pa nakakita or hindi pa familiar with this photo, he is Mr. or first, he is considered as the father of experimental science. Why is it that he was considered as the father of experimental science? Because he is proving science experimentally. So, some scientists in the early age were giving theories through their observations, merely observations, and their beliefs. So, okay na sila doon. But this guy, he is keen or he wants to experiment just to prove his theory. Kaya siya na-consider or that is the reason why he was considered to be the father of experimental science. So maybe some of you already knew if who is this guy. So he is Galileo. The full name is Mr. Galileo Galilei. So actually he wrote a book, and that book was De Moto, or meaning in motion. But this book was never published as he was not satisfied with it. Maybe he is just like us. Sometimes we are not satisfied of what we do. So even though we're done already, for example, a project or something that we're going to pass, sometimes we cannot do it. We cannot pass it because we are not satisfied of what we've done. So parang there is something missing. So that is the reason why he did not publish his book. So according to Mr. Galileo, a speed of a falling object is proportional to its density and not the weight or the mass. So what is density? I'm pretty sure you are aware of density already because you have taken it from your early grades na, but I will just give you some review. So density is a mass per unit volume. One good example of this is this cube or box that you can see in the monitor. So one box is denser than the other. How are you going to determine that it is denser? They have the same space. They have the same mass. But the other is denser than the other box. The particles of the other box is much more concentrated than the other. That is the reason why it is more dense. One good example again is that I want you to get a piece of paper in front of you. Okay, you have it already. A piece of paper or a bond paper may do. Any piece of paper. So just get one. That piece of paper is less dense. Why? As you can see, it occupies space, but the particles of that bond paper or that paper is not concentrated. Why? You can put one good explanation of that is that if you have a pen or a pencil in front of you, you can draw dots, and you can leave spaces on that dots. So the particles having space to one another, or they are not compressed. But if you're going to crumple that piece of paper in front of you, or the piece of paper that you are holding right now, it will become denser kasi the particles are compressed already. But I will not explain it further because alam ko you know density already. So according to Mr. Galileo Galilei, the speed of a falling object is independent of their mass. Of course, excluding the effect of air resistance. He made an experiment at the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. So what he did is he let go two balls of different mass. And according to him, and according to that experiment, these two balls of different mass released at the same time fell into the ground at the same time as well. So that is the outcome of his experiment. His conclusion: bodies fall into the surface of the earth at constant acceleration. So, what is acceleration? Acceleration is the act of moving faster. Pag sinabi natin constant, constant siya. Siya nagbabago. Okay po? So, objects falling or rising upward towards its highest peak were influenced of gravity. So, I'm pretty sure that you know what is gravity. And that acceleration value is 9.8 meters per second square. That is the acceleration due to gravity. So we have one more, the free-falling motion. As I have mentioned a while back, free-fall motion, these are the objects are falling under the sole influence of gravity. So it is just the pulling force of the earth. So one side lang po when we are talking about the influence of gravity, whether we like it or not, that object will be pulled toward the earth. Syempre, if it is going upward as well, there is a force of gravity, but once it reaches the peak or the highest peak of that object, it will fall into the earth or the ground. So let's differentiate the views of Mr. Aristotle versus the views of Mr. Galileo Galilei. So according to Mr. Aristotle, heavier objects fall faster than lighter ones. So who among you believes this? That lighter or heavier objects fall faster than the lighter ones? Well, basically, tama naman, di ba? That heavier objects fall faster than the lighter ones. One more belief, or according to Aristotle, speed is being proportional to the weight. So the same, it is proportional to the weight. So double the weight means double the speed, mas mabilis. But according to Galileo, speed of a falling object is proportional to its density and not the weight or the mass. Objects have the same acceleration, of course, with air resistance. So from the images below, you will notice the experiment or the belief of Aristotle: heavier the object, the faster it will fall. But according to Galileo Galilei, speed of a falling object is proportional to its density and not the weight. Okay. So I have here an individual work for you. So I want you to do it for 10 minutes. So all of you is going to watch 2 videos or 2 experimental videos, which later on I'm going to give you the link. Okay, so I want you to observe, have a small group discussion. It can be via text or via messenger, whatever you prefer. You can call your classmate, you can exchange ideas, okay, and try to differentiate your observations regarding the experiment number 1 and the experiment number 2 of the respective videos given. Okay, and I want you, after exchanging your observations and discussion with your classmates, I want you to explain your observations with regards to motion. Just a small explanation. Maybe 2 to 3 sentences may do. I just want to know the key points of your observation. Okay po? Then, there is one more assignment here. I'm sorry for that. You can remove that notebook. You can write it on your paper, your answer sheet. So, as well. Okay? So, in this video, in at least 3 sentences may do, tell something about the video with regards to motion. Okay po? And then, I have one more assignment for you. I want you to answer, is there any difference or is there a difference between Galileo's assertion and Newton's first law of motion? So I want you to research on that. Okay? So, hope you guys understand or learned something about the video. For this assignment, the video, I'm going to give you the link, and I'm going to give you also the links of the experimental videos. Okay? So, good day everyone.